Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a medical mystery that proves how a single bite of food, literally just one bite, can completely derail your life. We are breaking down a true story that honestly sounds like a sci-fi horror movie, but it is a very real biological nightmare. Let's track exactly how a microscopic invader can dismantle a human life step by step.
So imagine returning from an absolute dream vacation. You're feeling great, right? You're eating, sleeping, laughing with friends, totally oblivious to the fact that you brought back a hidden nightmare ticking away inside your head. You have no idea that you are no longer alone in your own body. Well, this is exactly what happened to one young traveler.
Chapter 1. Two Friends, Different Choices. So, our story begins with two 25-year-old software engineers, Ryan and Jared. Best friends since college, they'd spent a whole year meticulously planning this massive 2-week trip across India. Now, they approached this adventure with completely opposite survival strategies. Ryan was the highly organized one. He packed a huge first aid kit, hydration salts, and lived by this incredibly strict rule. If he couldn't peel it, boil it, or unseal it himself, he simply wasn't eating it. Jared, on the other hand, totally different mentality. He figured, hey, we shouldn't eat at tourist traps with English menus. He foolishly assumed that because the locals could handle the street food, his foreign immune system could just easily adapt to eat exactly like they do. Chapter 2. The Deadly Street Food. By the fourth night of their trip, the cracks in Jared's strategy really started to show. Ryan had actually caught a mild stomach bug from a hotel meal and decided to just stay in and rest. That left Jared to venture out all alone into Delhi's incredibly crowded Chandni Chowk market. And what happened next pretty much sealed his fate. Jared found a street vendor and eagerly ate 8 pani puri. The vendor was working barehanded, dipping the food into an open, iron bucket of dark tamarind water that had literally been sitting out all day. But here's the horrifying part Jared didn't know. The tap water used for that mix came from a pipe running right alongside a contaminated street drain. That water was laced with microscopic pork tapeworm eggs passed through human waste. To Jared, it just tasted like amazing street food. Chapter 3. The Invasion Inside the Brain. The next morning, Jared brushed the whole thing off, saying he felt totally fine. But deep inside his body, a silent biological invasion was already underway. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this parasite get past our body's defenses? Like, why didn't Jared's highly acidic stomach acid just destroy these tiny eggs? Well, in a crazy twist, the eggs actually act like a biological Trojan horse. They rely on human stomach acid. The acid dissolves their outer shell, which allows the microscopic larvae, we're talking smaller than a grain of sand, to hatch. Step 3, they pierce right through the intestinal wall and enter the bloodstream. From there, they hitch a ride to the muscles, the liver, the eyes, and tragically for Jared, straight up into his brain. Once they reach the brain, dozens of these tiny worms form these grape-like, fluid-filled cysts, pressing right against Jared's neural tissue. And why didn't his white blood cells fight them off? Because the parasite secretes a highly specialized chemical that completely blinds the host's immune system. It's exactly like a bank robber cutting the CCTV wires before a heist. They built a totally undetected settlement right inside his skull. Chapter 4. The Disease That Baffled Doctors. Let's fast forward past the trip. Jared is back home in Texas, totally unaware of the ticking time bomb in his head. But a few weeks in, the first ominous signs slipped through. One day, he spent 10 minutes frantically looking for his wallet, literally unable to comprehend that he was holding it right in his own hand. A few days after that, he developed this blinding headache pushing from right behind his eye. A doctor misdiagnosed it as just a simple migraine from screen time. But on day 44, the absolute worst happened. While loading groceries into his car, Jared's world went completely white. His body went rigid and he collapsed in a violent, bloody seizure against his car bumper. He's rushed to the hospital, and a CT scan shows this terrifying image, over 30 white spots scattered across his brain. The first doctor told Jared and his mom to prepare for the worst, thinking it was stage 4 terminal brain cancer. But the next morning, a brilliant oncologist noticed something weird. Cancers grow chaotically, right? But these spots were perfectly round and uniform, almost like they were intentionally planted. When he asked the one question no one else had, has he traveled out of the country recently, Ryan instantly mentioned India. Instantly, the diagnosis shifted from cancer to neurocysticercosis. Over 30 parasitic tapeworm cysts were living in his brain.
Chapter 5: The War Inside the Skull. Knowing what was in Jared's head was only half the battle. Getting them out, that was an almost impossible medical nightmare. It created the ultimate medical catch-22. You'd think, okay, just give him an anti-parasitic drug, right? Actually, no. That is literally the most dangerous thing they could do. If they gave Jared the drug, all 30 worms would die at the exact same time. And when they die, they stop secreting that cloaking chemical. Suddenly, Jared's immune system would see 30 alien invaders all at once and launch a massive, full-scale attack. Since the skull obviously can't expand, that immune response would cause fatal brain swelling, pushing the brainstem down and killing him instantly. A recent case with an 18-year-old boy in India actually ended in exactly this tragic way. So, because there were just too many cysts, doctors had to choose the grueling path of doing almost nothing. For 8 agonizing months, they treated his seizures, gave him meds for minor swelling, and just had to wait for the worms to age and die naturally, one by one. It was literally like slowly diffusing biological bombs in his head. During this time, Jared suffered 7 more seizures, he permanently lost his driver's license, had to quit his engineering job, and even lost partial vision in his right eye. Chapter 6: A Valuable Lesson for Life. By the 10th month, the agonizing wait was finally over. The dead cysts eventually calcified, turning into tiny stones inside his neural tissue. While the active threat was gone, these stones left Jared with permanent brain scars. He is now forced into a lifelong dependency on anti-seizure medication and wears a medical alert bracelet every single day, because a seizure could return at any moment. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this has to be a 1 in a million freak accident, but look at this number: 16,000. Over 16,000 people are hospitalized in the United States every single year due to this exact same parasitic condition. It is a silent global issue that travelers routinely underestimate. The goal of this explainer isn't to scare you into never traveling. We want to empower you. If you want to travel the world safely, you have to stick to these non-negotiable rules. Only consume water from a sealed bottle. Don't eat at places where you can't see the kitchen hygiene or where handlers aren't wearing gloves. And honestly, most importantly, if you develop a severe headache or neurological symptom weeks after a trip, you must proactively tell your doctor where you have been. You absolutely have to be your own advocate. Today, Ryan still travels the world, and before every single trip, he texts Jared the exact same rules about bottled water and peeling your own food. And Jared? He always replies, "I know." The difference between these two friends wasn't genetics, and it sure wasn't luck. It was a single choice. Ryan chose discipline, while Jared has to live every day with the regret of choosing an open bucket of water in a crowded market. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. The true danger of this parasite isn't just the physical damage. It's the delayed reaction. You eat, you laugh, you fly home, you brag to your friends about the amazing authentic street food you had. It isn't until weeks later that the terrifying reality sets in. So the next time you feel tempted to blindly eat like a local without checking the hygiene, ask yourself, is that momentary taste truly worth risking the rest of your life?